Mountainsites.co.uk is an innovative new website for anyone who enjoys visiting hills and mountains anywhere in the United Kingdom. It displays route information and 360-degree photography submitted by hill walkers for hill walkers. Each submission is used to create 3 mountain site web pages about a specific summit. The first one is the route page, which tells you how to reach the top of the hill or mountain in question, and the second and third are 360-degree view pages showing summit panoramas in either widescreen or full screen mode. These pages are interactive and enable you to visit other pages if any summit within the view has a mountain site icon appearing above it. We'd like to show as many locations on the website as possible, so to encourage you to send in your own content, we're running a Submit a Summit competition. It's completely free to enter, and if we use your material you could win one of over 100 prizes, or even the top prize, a 2-year subscription to Outdoor Enthusiast magazine for whoever sends us the most usable content. To enter the competition, visit mountainsites.co.uk to check whether the summit you intend to submit is one we need. To do this, drag the zooming site to the region you are visiting and click the appropriate area square. This opens the area page where you can check the summit list. If the summit is already online or is due to be, it will say so here, in which case choose a different one. Once you've done this, you need to sign up as a Mountain Sites member. It's completely free of charge. Click the membership link at the bottom of the page, enter your details, and confirm you've read the safety advice and competition terms and conditions. Please remember, mountains are potentially dangerous, so if you are an inexperienced hill walker, you could be biting off more than you can chew if you attempt a route which you think could be very challenging. So always choose something which you are sure is well within your capabilities. When you set out, you will need to be dressed appropriately and be carrying certain hill walking essentials. Apart from a map, you will also need a compass, a water bottle, some food, a torch, a whistle, a survival bag, a first aid kit, and perhaps a mobile phone. But remember, you cannot rely on it working in many locations. The appropriate outdoor clothing you should have includes walking boots, a hat, a waterproof coat and over trousers, as weather conditions can change surprisingly quickly in mountainous regions. Always check the forecast before you set off and make an early start to avoid returning in poor light. Travel with a companion and make sure you stay within view of one another during your walk. You may wish to follow a route described in a publication or on a website. While nobody owns a route, a written description of it is intellectual property, and if you submit a close copy of someone else's work, you will be infringing their copyright, which could result in legal proceedings being taken against you. A submission based on your own experience avoids this problem and results in a description which is more up to date than any material you may have originally referred to. If possible, plan a route which includes a pub, cafe or restaurant, anywhere people can unwind with a drink or a meal at the end of the day. Please make a note of its location and a web address if it has one, so a link can be added to your route page. Details like this make your description more useful. If you use public transport to get to your destination, give details of the service you used. Describe each point using map coordinates in the standard 2-letter, 6-number British National Grid format. The letters indicate a square region within the UK and the numbers represent its eastings and northings. Eastings being the numbers along the horizontal axis of the map, which include 1 decimal place even if it's a 0, and northings are the same but appear along the vertical axis. These hill walkers are starting from the Swinside Inn at coordinate NY243218. Record each point of your route as a numbered list, stating the position followed by a description. If you are using a GPS, please set it to British National Grid or BNG mode if you know how, but if you don't, latitude and longitude format is acceptable. Your route description should give a compass bearing from each point to the next. If the path splits at any point, always make a note of whether to make a left or right turn. Don't neglect details like this. It may be obvious to you, but it may not be to someone unfamiliar with this locality. Always mention a potential hazard, even if it's a minor one, as people may have to use your route in heavy rain or thick mist. Give a coordinate and description wherever these exist, for example sheer drops or places where you need to use your hands to climb. It is important to record all positions accurately, as an error could prove to be dangerously misleading, so as an added precaution, draw your route onto the map in soft pencil so you can double check your coordinates when you type them up in email form. After your descent, write a short synopsis of your route and grade it in terms of difficulty for any reasonably fit person. Grade it as either easy, that's suitable for all including children over 10 and retired walkers; moderate, that's suitable for most fit adults with perhaps one or two fairly easy climbing points; challenging, that's unsuitable for novices and may require some serious vertical climbing; difficult, which is only suitable for experienced and fit climbers, otherwise potentially dangerous; and expert, that's dangerous to all except the very experienced mountaineers. Remember that not everyone may be as fit as you or experienced as you, so make sure that you don't underestimate the route's difficulty. Shooting landscapes is relatively easy because light conditions are usually good on mountain tops. Even if you're a simple point and click type of photographer, you shouldn't have too much problem capturing a complete 360-degree view, but you do need to remember a few simple do's and don'ts. If you are a fairly knowledgeable photographer and you want to get the best possible results, there are a few special techniques we will recommend to you to use. You can use digital or film format, but only use a mobile phone if you can shoot high resolution images like the iPhone 5 and you don't own a standard camera. Once you've reached the mountain summit, it's important to start shooting immediately because conditions can deteriorate surprisingly rapidly. Just stopping for a sandwich may mean you've missed your only chance to shoot before the cloud obscures the view. If the view is already obscured by cloud, let's say about 20% of it or more, it probably isn't worth shooting, so wait for conditions to improve. Views can clear as quickly as they deteriorate, so you may not need to wait very long. When you're ready to shoot, refer to your compass to ensure you're looking directly north. This will be your 12 o'clock starting position from which the rest of the sequence will follow as you gradually turn around. If you aren't familiar with shooting in manual mode, don't worry, because auto mode should produce adequate results, so you can ignore the following advice. Put your camera into aperture priority mode and choose a setting perhaps somewhere between f5.6 and f11. A smaller aperture gives more depth of field. Don't use a shutter speed slower than 125th of a second. Images shot at 1/60th or less are prone to camera shake unless you are using a very heavy tripod to counteract the wind. Choose an appropriate ISO or ASA camera setting on a digital camera if you know how. For film cameras, choose the appropriate roll to use in advance. Whether you shoot on film or digitally, your setting will probably be about 200 or perhaps 100 if it's a very sunny day. Most digital cameras let you select image quality as either low, medium or high resolution. Set your camera to the highest resolution according to the amount of storage available. You will need to have space for perhaps 25 to 30 image files for each 360-degree sequence you intend to shoot. That's equivalent to 1/36 exposure film per summit if you aren't shooting digitally. You need to hold your camera in a portrait rather than a landscape orientation, as you might expect for this kind of subject. This reduces distortion and makes it easier to merge each shot into a single panoramic image. It's easy to forget to do this as it's counterintuitive, so please keep it in mind. If you do know how to disable autofocus, please do so, and manually ensure all features are sharply defined. If you have a telephoto lens, check it's zoomed back as far as possible to get as much scenery into the picture as you can. It's easy to forget to do this too, but it is important. Then get the horizon line about a third of the way down in the viewfinder. Once you've prepared your camera, you're ready to capture your first 360-degree sequence. Starting at north, shoot each segment of the panorama ahead, gradually rotating until you arrive back at north again. If your companion comes into view, ask them to move forward into the region you've just shot. You need to overlap each image with the previous one by about 25%, so keep a mental note of landmarks as you rotate from the 12 o'clock position all the way around the clock face until you return to your starting position. If you forget to overlap any part of the sequence, it cannot be used. Just in case there is a problem with one of the pictures in your sequence, shoot a second series, perhaps using an alternative shutter speed or aperture setting. Once you've returned from your expedition, write up your records as soon as possible while the details are still fresh in your memory. When you email your submission, attach a scan or a photograph of your map with the route drawn on it with the rest of your image files. If you can transfer a GPS track log file onto your computer, attach it to your submission as well, but if you can't, give the coordinates in your route description. Don't process your image files in any way or change their format. However, you may zip them up if you know how. If you shot your images on film, ask your photo lab to put them on a CD rather than printing them, because scanning from a print will reduce picture quality. Once completed, back up your route description and image files just in case they get corrupted, then email them to submissions@mountainsites.co.uk. If your image files are too big for your email service to handle, use a free bulk data transfer service like usendit.com or dropbox.com instead. If you've photographed views from several summits, there may be some confusion over which sequence represents which view. To make this clear, add the name of the summit in question to the start of the image file code. Don't remove the original ID, otherwise it may not be obvious which image looks north in each sequence. As long as your source material is of adequate quality and you sent us content that we need, each submission will be made into a route page and 2 view pages credited to you. Don't forget that there are over 100 prizes available across the UK, and whoever submits the most material of all wins the top prize of a 2-year subscription to Outdoor Enthusiast magazine. If you'd like an advice sheet covering the issues described in this video, you can print one out from the Submit a Summit page. Thank you for watching and good luck.